Welcome back to week 5, I think episode 5 of Maroon Momentum. I'm your host, Jonathan Duff, and I am excited to get into this slate of guests that we have today. I got Darrian Baker, an old teammate and good friend of mine, joining the show first. I have Brayden Latham joining around 8:15, 8:20, and then I have Brad Gurley following him. So I'm really excited to get into it. Obviously, coming off a disappointing week. I can already see a little bit of lag. So really praying that my Wi-Fi holds up this week versus last week. I put in a few calls and we'll see if that helps. But beyond that, I just want to say a big shout out to John Clark State Farm, the proud sponsor of this show. I've said it many times, we all have insurance needs, whether we want to pay for them or not. We do have needs. And so there's no better man than John Clark in the Richmond area to go to for your insurance needs. I've said it many times. He's a man of great ethics. He's just a great human being. He's a football guy, and you can always count on Clark. So go check him out. I can't speak highly enough about John Clark. So like I said, check him out. But with that said, like I said, coming off a disappointing week, but looking forward to getting to talk to the guys, talk about a bounce back, and talk about some parallels between this year and what the start was last year. So with all of that said, I am going to bring on my first guest of the night, former defensive lineman Darrian Baker.
What's up? What's
going on, D-Bake? How are you?
I'm good. Hopefully my lighting's not too bad.
That's all right. You should have been on last week. I left Jeremy solo because my Wi-Fi cut out a couple times. So I hope I don't do that to you or anybody else.
Hopefully not. I'll have to do some improv.
Yeah, no doubt. He held it down. Well. Jeremy, he can keep the audience
He can
entertained.
He can talk.
No doubt. But I one thing that I love to do with the show, and I do it because I love EKU. I love reminiscing. Apparently, I like to talk about our days and what we got to do, and so I kind of.
Somebody tried to call me, and I already have my phone on D&D. My bad.
That's all right. Parker had the same thing happen to him when he was on, so no worries. But like what I was saying was, I have this show, and I like to bring on my old teammates and get a chance to talk to them, reminisce a little bit about the past. And just talk about, the current state and what you're seeing, just being someone that's been through it all. So with all of that said, talk to me just about, the past days and your kind of journey of starting as a freshman, getting hurt, and just a brief overview of your time at EKU.
It wasn't. It was a fun time, I would say. I mean, coming in with Coach Wells and coming in with all the guys from 2020, it was fun for sure. But it started off different than we all expected it for sure. In a honestly, kind of in a good way for some of us, and in a bad way for some of us. But for me, it started off. I got thrown right into the fire, and that's what a lot of guys want when they go to college. But sometimes I think back, I'm like, maybe I should have took my time in doing it, but I didn't have the chance to. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did. Although an extra year on top of this year would have been nice, but it's okay.
Yeah,
it's got to
no
come to an
doubt.
end at some point.
No doubt.
Coming in with Wells, like it was everybody kind of a learning experience looking back on it, because even Wells didn't really know how to run a program fully. No offense to him or anything, but even he didn't know how to run it fully to the fullest extent. And a lot of us didn't know what college was like at all. And then even some of the older guys barely even played at that point because we had so many opt-outs and everything, and the coach switch, and really just a lot of learning in the beginning. And then we kind of got to shape our own culture, which was fun because of where a lot of the old guys were gone, and a lot of the people that stayed were like really nice dudes that really wanted the best for the program, like Shane Burks, Tucker Schroeder, Parker, obviously, Dak, obviously. They wanted to be good, and they wanted to shape the program in the way that they wanted to. So, and
There's
then,
no doubt.
yeah, for sure.
When you talk about, and it's funny, I didn't even think of that. We just had such a unique experience coming in 2020 at such an interesting time. And you think that not only were we freshmen at that time, Coach Wells was a first-year head coach at that time. So, it is a unique growing pain that everyone went through together. And you talk about being able to be around and be the guys that were there for 5 years, for the first 5 years of Wells. And the defense is doing a great job right now, and we talk about the evolution of the defense and the evolution of the team, making comebacks and different things last year. You mentioned the culture and shaping the culture. What have you seen? What's the biggest differences? Is it just infusing our own guys, guys who stayed at EKU and guys who had been there? Where did that culture shift come along, and what do you see right now when you look at the team today?
When I see, I'm just gonna speak for the defense because that's what I know. I don't fully know what goes on the offense side of the ball, apart from like field goal, maybe just a little bit of field goal. But we had a huge culture shift, I would say, in 2023 when we switched to the Maroon Doom thing, like the Maroon Doom defense, and then we got our it was like our passion, purpose, pride, but it was for Maroon Doom defense, and
Yep.
we got our identity on defense, and that's what we relied on, and I'm seeing that a lot from the team now. Which we have a lot of older guys. Well, it's a younger team, but it's led by people that were there, like Frank. Frank's been there. Jeremiah obviously has been there, and Gurley and Gabe have always obviously been there, and they're just shaping it the way they want to shape it. And then the way they brought in transfers, they didn't bring in hard-headed, bonehead transfers anymore, which we've
Hmm.
had in the past.
Yeah.
Like Jaheim's a little bit of a bonehead, but he wants to win at the end of the day, so it's okay. So he gets a pass, and he still wants to win. Him and Vito, but yeah, once we took upon that Maroon Doom defense thing and got our core values of it, it really did. I think you can see the shift if you look on film and just the way that we played defense. Because in 2023, defense was like, if we had a good defense that year, we could have made a run at it, like a real run at it. And I think that we kind of took that, and Wales took that as like he challenged us. And I'm sure you've been there. Like I forget what week it was. It was the week we played Gardner Webb, and he had the film from Gardner Webb 2023 at in Roy Kidd Stadium running all over us. And
Hmm.
all of us are like, nobody in that film is even really playing on this team anymore,
Yeah.
aside from actually literally nobody, I don't think. Because except for Ryan, maybe Ryan. Ryan was
Yeah.
the only starter from that team that was a starter on the 2024 and the 2025 team. So, well, 2020, yeah. So no, that was 2022 that we played Gardner Webb, right? Am I mixing that
Hmm.
up? I
Yep.
think it was
No,
2022.
you're
Yeah.
right. It was in the
So it's
playoffs
2020,
2022.
the 2023 year. He was playing all the videos, and the only person that returned started was Ryan. So just kind of like, that's on us, and we're not gonna let it happen again. So
Hmm.
kind of put our
Yeah.
that chip on our shoulder and challenged us in a way that we didn't want to be the disappointment. We didn't want to let everybody down because we have quarterbacks that can win us games, and we have running backs that can win us games at any point, any time. So we don't want to be the letdown.
Right. And it was a huge shift. When Parker was there, it was we had a lot of defensive lapses. There were a lot of people
Yeah.
saying a lot of things about the defense because we could hang up 40 on a team and lose the game, which was I'm not going to
Yeah.
say unheard of, but it was just rare at the clip that
Yeah.
we had
Yeah.
lost some 40
Yeah.
point games, and so there were a lot of things said, and that's one thing I did want to dig in with you tonight is the evolution of the defense. We talk about culture. You just gave us a great highlight of that. Was it truly, I'm not in that room, or I wasn't in that room. Was it truly all culture, or was there some schematic changes to that, or what makes the defense that we saw last year and even this year now look so good?
I think it's because when you buy into the culture, when everybody's bought into the culture, it's gonna make the coaches trust you more. So I don't even think it was schematically, but it kind of is schematic because when the coaches trust you more, they're gonna give you more to play with. So we're not just running the same Okie Mod 4 all game. So when
Right.
we get out of that and we actually get to expand because the coaches trust us in a way that he's going to be there even if I call the most random play in this playbook and we didn't have it on the script. Like Coach Jake can actually go in and make halftime adjustments to plays that we didn't even run in practice in the past, and it's that type of trust that is built up now that we can do, and it gives us more freedom to, if they're doing something that we can't stop and wasn't on the call sheet all week, we can go to the sideline after the first series and put it in, and everybody's ready and everybody can do it without without a drop of like just without even really discussing it much. Just here's the play, run the play. We know how to do it and everything. So it's basically just you can tell that everybody trusts each other and everybody knows where they're gonna be at. And once you get that, it's nice.
Right. And we talk about you instill the culture. Now we're talking about being able to expand schematically because you trust your guys. On top of that, I think it's a big thing of they got to bring in their guys. There's turnover, there's roster turnover every year. So you really get to bring in your guys now, but you really get to go recruit and get your own guys that fit your scheme. And I think all of the pieces that have been added in recent years, we talk about Jaheim being one who's all over the field, have just been incredible additions to the roster. And you've really seen the defense just evolve over the past 5 years or 6 years. Six years now. But on top of that, when you look at the defensive evolution, I think one thing that's been pretty consistent, obviously we talk about getting run on, but that goes to be two other factors as well. But one thing that's been consistent is the D line. You came in 2020. We've had some incredible D linemen. You had Elijah Taylor in that 2020 year, who was a stud. You had TK and Kelton Dawson and Burks there, and Willie Taylor there for the 2022 season. I'm not going to name every single guy, but now you look at last year too. You got yourself, you got Ryan Jackson, you got Jeremiah Bailey, who's still on this team now, and you've had three. Not you had two different position coaches, but there's a third different position coach. I guess it's a twofold question. One, how much did that competition in the younger days breed those more successful players as time went on? And the second thing is, what do you see out of the D lineman now? Because I'm going to have Brad Gurley on later, and he's had an incredible season.
Yeah. The competition is really like that's what pushes you and I give credit to Coach Wells. D line has been one of the deepest positions we've had since his tenure. Like since he's been the coach, the D line has always been deep and good, like really good depth, and it's always been really, really good in my opinion. I would say the competition really like made you have to step up because I was either always trying to fight to get in that position, and then once I got at that position, I had Jeremiah Bailey behind me. So like that, it can't feel very comfortable. Like, and we eventually got on the field together because Marv got hurt and everything. But yeah, and then he got to go play tackle, and we got to start a bunch of games together. Luckily, but once you have somebody behind you like that, and it's constantly on your tail, and you're seeing what he's doing, you have no choice but to do what they're trying to do, and they're trying to take your job every single day. But it's all love at the end of the day, no matter what. And I feel like Brad, he's been really good because he's actually locked in and just doing his job. He's coming to work every day, doing what he needs to do, and being a former walk-on, like that's what you have to do. You have to come to work every single day, not really care about how you're getting treated. You might have to go to scout team. Might have to hold bags or get the bags and everything, but just eventually, if you get your opportunity, you got to seize it, and that's what Brad did. And I think it was last year's camp. He really seized his opportunity during spring and during camp, and he got rewarded for it.
Definitely. He's had an incredible season so far. I'm excited to talk to him, and we talk about the depth in that room, and there's no doubt. That's why I'm excited to talk to Latham and Gurley both, because I think it represents the deepest rooms we've had over the past several years.
For sure.
But as you move on, you talk about Jeremiah Bailey. To me, I watched the UAC Media Day. I've watched all these different things, and to me, he did not get enough love in the preseason. But the preseason's a preseason, I understand.
Yeah.
To me, he's one of the most dominant people coming back to FCS play this year. What makes Jeremiah so good? And I guess just what's your analysis of Jeremiah? I mean, he's a stud, obviously.
Yeah, he's got great hands, and he's one of the fastest people on the team. I can guarantee you that he is one of the most fastest people on the team, and he's one of the most shifty people on the team. Like, if you need to watch it, if anybody wants the proof, just go watch the Stephen F. Austin game. When he got that ball in his hands, he was gone. Then you can also go watch, what was it, the Villanova game when he scooped and scored, which should have been a scoop and score, but that's besides the point. But also, he has the ability to take over a game, like at any given time, to just take over a game. Me, him, and Maddox during the Villanova game, I mean, we combined for like 30 tackles.
Yeah, I
I think it
know.
was like 6 TFLs, an interception, 3
Hmm.
sacks. Should have been a touchdown.
Yep.
I mean, and he was a pivotal role. Like he batted the ball to get me the interception and got a sack the next drive and a TFL the next drive. Like he took over that game. So he just has the ability to do that. And also during SEMO, remember he got that fumble that Sterling picked up to win the game.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And that was in a package where he wasn't he wasn't playing that entire game. Like he was playing as the backup role the entire game, and then he got in the package, and then he went out there and made the play, even though he might not have been in his whole flow state and stuff like that. But at any given point, he can make a play to change the game completely, and that's the main thing.
He's a game wrecker. He definitely is. And, I forget about the SEMO play. He won us the game there because, Pat can't go out and kick that field goal without Jeremiah Bailey and
Exactly.
Sterling hopping on the ball. You look at Villanova, and like you said, he was a game wrecker. I mean, if that touchdown, which was rightfully a touchdown, gets called a touchdown, you win
Yes.
that game. And he's a huge factor. You as well, Maddox as well. Josh Carter as well, but I won't get
Yeah.
into all that. But he is a game wrecker. That's why I was surprised coming off Villanova and everything like that he didn't get the preseason love I expected. But he
Exactly.
is a superstar. I'm excited to continue to watch him play this year. Him and
For
Gurley
sure.
together have been a force. You have Frank, you have Gabe
Tommy
Stevens.
Tommy has been really, really good, and he's been playing a whole lot of reps from what I've been watching.
Absolutely,
So
Tommy Ziesmer there. He's playing some nose and. Yeah, you got a pass rush this year
yeah.
that we had last year, and it's been really fun to watch. When I look at just kind of what teams are doing and everything like that, and I guess I just want to get your perspective on this as well, because they did score 34 points last week. I'd seen some comments.
Yeah.
Granted, they scored off of a fumble on the offense and different things. And then the week before, I can't remember how many points were scored at Marshall, but they're playing at a short field all
Yeah.
game. I don't think it was until late second quarter that they had the ball on the opposing team's yard lines.
Yeah.
So when you look at the defense through 4 games, I know you watch every game. I know you're going to be there this weekend. What have you seen so far? Who's standing out, and what do you like from
Uh,
what you're seeing?
I would say Tommy's standing out from how he's chunking it up in the middle, and then I would also say that I mean, obviously the guys are playing really well. Tommy's playing really well. I mean, Frank's playing really well. Jeremiah's playing really well, and then Caden is playing really well. He played really well last week, and I think at Marshall as well. So
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody's playing good on the defense. We just got to keep humming and get it fine tuned because if we need stops, we need stops, and that's just what it is. They can't win the game if they don't score, is what Coach always said. So if they don't
Definitely.
score, they can't win.
Definitely. I want to pivot to now, as we're talking about Brad Gurley coming on the show here soon. Um, being from Kentucky, obviously, he's from the neck of the woods that's Bowling Green, so we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later. But you're from Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Talk about, is there a sense of pride in going to EKU and being from Kentucky? There's a number of Kentucky guys on the roster that are contributing and starting, and, I don't know what that feeling's like, but growing up, is there a sense of pride there?
Oh, for sure. There's a sense of pride. I mean, in Kentucky, you want to retain the talent. So I know Coach Wells wants to have Kentucky guys doing great things on his football team because if EKU is not playing kids from Kentucky, all these kids from Kentucky that are getting recruited are going to go somewhere else. So if you see like people having success and you want to be like kind of an inspiration to some of the kids that are from Kentucky, that even if you go to a small little 3A school, that you can you can go and play at a high Division 1 level. And I mean, it does make you proud to see some of these guys from Kentucky, like Tommy, Brad, Vito, Caden, to doing really well on the team, and that's just the defense. But you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it just makes you proud that even
Absolutely.
Kentucky has its good spots, and a lot of people. I mean, being on a football team, you know how it is. Like they're gonna talk down on Kentucky just because it's Kentucky, but it makes you proud
Definitely.
when like yeah.
Everyone wants to say that their state's the best. That's just how it is when
Yeah.
you get into the locker room. But I think Coach has done a great job getting into Kentucky and getting some great Kentucky guys who have contributed a lot to us. The last thing I'm going to ask you, because I know the Seahawks are starting soon. I know you're a big Hawks fan, but when you look at what they need to do moving forward and kind of the parallel between this year and last year, uh, what would your advice be, or what would you think, to right the ship, and what worked last year, when you look into our locker room and how we got things straightened around, went on that 5-game run against ranked opponents and made the playoffs?
It really just all starts with leadership. And if you don't believe that you can do something, it's not gonna get done. Like if you don't believe truly that you can go and knock off a top 10 team, then it's not gonna happen. So you gotta just have sure belief, and the leaders have to lead the whole entire team. And I would just say, like, just play with some confidence, because what I'm seeing is a bunch of people on some people that aren't being very confident in what they're doing sometimes. And just play with confidence and trust the man next to you that he's going to make the play that he's supposed to make, and he'll always be there to make that play when he's supposed to be there to make that play.
No doubt. And I think that goes back to culture, like you had said earlier, just team chemistry and trust. It's a huge thing. Well, I won't hold you any longer, like I said, D-Bake, but I really appreciate you coming on, talking ball. I know you're going to show out this week, as everyone else should. Show out to the kid this weekend. Thank you for joining, D-Bake. I hope you have a good night, and go Seahawks.
All right, go Hawks. See you, Duff. Thank you.
Absolutely. As former D lineman Darrian Baker, super glad to have him on, and always good to get his insight. Like I said, I love to get my friends on here. At the end of the day, it's a good time, and everyone, I've said it before, EKU family runs deep. So, with that said, I'm gonna bring on another good friend of mine. Super glad to have him on after a monster week last week. A big 45-yard touchdown, 40-yard touchdown, something like that. He averaged a whole bunch of yards on the ground. I can't remember exactly. Had 97 yards. Here he is, Brayden Latham. What's going on, Latham?
Duffington, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to give you a quick disclaimer. The Wi-Fi can always be spotty, so if I go out, we might have to roll with it. But with that said, I think I could have touched up a little bit better on your introduction just now. But
You all good.
congrats, Captain Latham. Heck of a week last
Thanks.
week. Obviously, I kind of want to dive into it was rough sledding a little bit. There was a lot of plugged up holes the first few weeks, and you were getting beat down a little bit by some D linemen, some linebackers. The holes opened up last week. O-line did a good job opening those holes, but was there any kind of different approach, or was it just keep chugging along and everything came to fruition last week? What was different about last week?
I would say that we've just been playing together. I know it's kind of we've been playing together since like fall camp and stuff like that, and we've been going against like our defense and stuff. But like I say all the time, game speed is different. Like twist and like blitzes and just being in our environment is different. And like Coach Wells has been telling like the team, like we're kind of inexperienced up front, and like kind of like as a team, like we got a couple guys who haven't played and like a couple guys who have played, and like I think the oldest guy was like Liam Coppinger, like who actually played a good bit last year, and like Bun maybe, but like that was the only guy who like came back for real, and just like having like the guards and tackles and center just like connect and just like play in like real game live situations. I think that was the difference for real. And Coach Rose was also talking to us this week about like us trying to do other people's job, and then just do your job at the end of the day, and just like trust the man, like trust that the man to the left of you or in front of you or beside you is just gonna do his job, and then like just gonna get six at the end of the day. That's what we did.
Definitely. It goes back to culture, as we were just talking about. And I think it does. I mean, I keep drawing parallels right now. It's a 1-3 start. So I draw parallels to last year, which was
Absolutely.
everyone was, what the heck are we doing on offense? That's what the message was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you go on this 5-game run, and Josh is just breaking runs through people, for these game-winning touchdowns, 3 games in a row or whatever it was. And I think it all relates to exactly what you're saying. You need time against another opponent, not when you're in practice. knowing exactly what the defense is going to be in,
Yeah.
knowing exactly everything about the person across from you. It's people you don't know in real game scenarios. It's a completely different ball game. But you took advantage of it last week, and let's talk about the running back room. We talk about the O-line, which, right, a lot of rotating pieces. I think they gelled a lot better last week. Let's talk about the running back room, where last year you were, everyone will say behind Josh Carter, which Josh was technically 1A last year, but you were 1B. You played a ton. You had over 600 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. I think I saw. I checked your stats before this, but you really were 1B. You had a ton of experience last year playing. I mean, you played as a true freshman. So,
Yeah.
now you look to this year and you see Brady Hensley getting a ton of reps as well and doing well and everything that comes with that. So, what kind of competition, what is competition bred in that room? Because we seem to always have production out of your position.
So when I initially came in, like there was, we had B Sloan and like Josh and like Keandre, all those guys, and they were all doing a ton, like making plays left and right. And Telly brought me aside one day, and like he just spit the like spill to me. He was like,
Yeah.
"Man, it's like love at the end of the day, but like, man, I want you to come and take my spot. Like, I want you to make that move. I want you to catch that pass. I don't want you to drop that ball. Like, it's competition, and everybody wants to see everybody like succeed and excel and stuff like that. So it's been amazing, and like seeing B Hen like go like, cause it's crazy to say, cause I swear like I can blink, and yesterday I was literally a true freshman, like on all special teams, like in the green packages, the packages I had on offense and stuff like that. And it's kind of crazy to be talking like this now, but I could just see Behan like growing like as a player every day, like just getting like the fundamentals down and like getting more detail and stuff like that. And he's had a big role, like he's stepping into his role for sure, because we've had a couple of injuries in the running back room. Telly went out in the Louisville game. Sorry about that, and that
Yeah.
was just heartbreaking to me, because and a lot of people don't know he had an injury in fall camp, and he had to sit out for a little bit then, and then he had literally, it felt like he just got back, and then first game he just couldn't catch a break. So it's just, and then now Mont's out too with like a little foot thing. So it's good to see Behan stepping up and just like got to be ready when your number's called and stuff like that. So it's just amazing to see him excel and step into that role.
Absolutely. It's a unique bond that you all have because of, like you said, you're all supporting each other, which is crazy because, you're competing for the reps, the rock, every play. But when you look at the running back room, you guys are doing those interviews after practice with Wes Chandler, and you can tell every time a running back's up there, they're looking up to the rest of the running backs who all came to the interview with the other running back and clearly are doing something behind the camera. Uh, we talk about competition, but talk about like the personalities and the support and stuff. And where did that tradition start? And what does that bring to your guys' bond in that room?
So these guys, man, it felt like we've been through thick and thin, honestly. And I felt like we really got close in the spring, where like I guess we were kind of giving coach a hard time, and he was just like pounding on us. And one day we just brought it together, like, let's just get our shit together, let's just lock in, let's focus up. So, we started like hanging out outside, going out to eat, cooking at each other's houses, pulling up, Mont just had a baby, so we were giving him gifts. I went to Michigan to see his baby shower. So it's just like it's been like time over the summer and stuff like that, just spent together. It honestly, it feels like we're a family, and like that time spent together, like I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Honestly, those guys are amazing, and like that interview Behan had, that was like every time one of us has an interview, we always plan to show up. Just show up and rock out, because like that boy shining, let the world see him shine. And just give him the best support in the world.
It's noticeable. It's really cool to see. Um, you know, we talk about, you talk about giving coach a hard time or whatnot in the running back room. You're in a unique position where the offensive coordinator, so the man in charge of all the offense, is your position coach. How unique is that? And I'm not going to say what challenges does that bring, but what kind of unique perspective does it give the running back in this offensive scheme?
Well, so basically, sometimes it feels like we got to be Superman. Honestly, like there can't be any mess ups, no MAs, no none of this, because like our literally our position coach is the OC. Like he knows he knows what's supposed to be going where, what's supposed to be doing what. Like there can't be any mistakes, like no mess ups, no nothing. And it comes with its pros, but it also comes with its cons. It's just like sometimes one day like the receivers are just not having a good day, or like the O line, or just like some groups are not having a good day, and like that man comes into that meeting room, he's letting us have it. Like what's up with those guys, stuff like that. But man, you gotta love Coach Richmond. He I love him because he loves the game, and then like he loves the game so much and he just hashes it out. Like he lets us know, and he's true, and he's upfront about it, and I love that he doesn't sugarcoat anything, like to the faintest little mistake. Like he doesn't sugarcoat it, and then he just wants us to be great. He literally told us today he wants us to exceed in everything. He wants us to achieve everything we want to achieve. He just wants us to be great, and he's putting in a lot of time, like day and night. That man puts in a lot of time into his work, so I can see why he's so passionate and so just like upfront about everything.
And that transparency and that truth that he speaks to you guys is so important to the trust of your team and the trust of your offense, because I'm sure it spills over. When you look at, last week offensively, I think that there were a lot of positives. And you lose a game 33-12, I think, or 33-10. I don't know what it was, something around that.
Yeah.
When you lose a game like that, and it truly does come down to a few plays. I'm going to dive into that without you later here on this show, but when you look at that performance, you can still bring positives away from everything. And I think there were a lot of positives on offense. What was kind of brought away for the offensive unit from that game?
Honestly, is that we can move the ball. Honestly, that was a positive. We can move the ball. I think we almost had like 400 yards of offense, which is like the most we've ever had, like in the past, the previous games. Honestly, and we had the most first downs we've had the most rushing yards, like the most third down conversions, and we were like. And like we sat there and we looked after the game and we told ourselves like we can actually do this. We just got to pull it together, because like one of our main things was like we were moving the ball, but like we just weren't putting any points on the board. And that was kind of putting our defense in a hard spot, because now we're taking time off the clock. And
Right.
like if they go down and score really quick, we just kept doing the same thing, honestly. So we can't just sit there and like take 8 minutes off the clock and not come away with nothing and just stuff like that, because that doesn't really help anybody in that situation. Because then, well, Vito said something really funny to me today. He said we ran. He said we ran to the grocery store without any money in our hands. And I honestly, I think it was a perfect example. Like we were putting in all the work. We had the plan, but we got to the store and we actually just couldn't cash anything because we didn't have any money in our hands for a real, which I think was a great example. But honestly, we're gonna come with a better look into it this week. We're gonna move the ball and we're gonna get into that end zone for surely.
Right. And I look at the stats here. I got a little sheet right here, and it looks like you guys beat them in total yardage by 113 yards. So there's no doubt you guys were moving the ball, and that's the big bright spot that I take away that you may not have taken away in other weeks. You can tell the offense is gelling, and it seemed to be a gradual progression, exactly like last year. That's where I draw that parallel. It took a while from the offense last year to gel, and then all of a sudden you gel. And the run game was a big part of that. As a captain, though, beyond just being the running back, the starting running back, as you're a team captain, what is your outlook in terms of what's the message to the team this week and moving forward, after dropping that tough one in conference last week?
So basically, I was telling them like we know it's a new team from last year, but then I gotta give them that spiel like guys, we've been here before, like
Mm-hmm.
like we've been here before. We know we can do it. We know we can exceed. Like we know we can win when we need to win, and that's what we're absolutely gonna do. And honestly, just staying positive on like the bright side, because we have a lot of games left. We don't know who's gonna lose to who's gonna win to who, and honestly, if we just sit there and win, keep our heads down and just dig it out. Like I think we've got a good chance. So that's mostly my message, and like my positivity has been like throughout the week, and that's what the message has been. Just like stick it through, like don't give up. It's literally we're just 1-3, and like we've been here before. Honestly, we've all been here.
Your positivity is infectious, and I think that's what makes when I look at the offseason and everything like that, and I'm sitting there thinking like you're a slam dunk pick for captain. I've heard you talk to me about it before. Where does your positivity come from all the time?
I feel like I've just had so many low lows personally in life, and then like at the end of the day, like the day ends, and that's what me and Maddox used to say when we first got here in freshman. Like when things weren't going our way, and like we weren't playing where we wanted to play, like we weren't in the spot like we spots we wanted to be. We were just like, at the end of the day ends, Maddox or Brayden, and like let's just wake up tomorrow and keep grinding, and just like keep a smile on your face, because really at the end of the day, like there's no reason to be frowning, because like this is. Like this isn't the end for real, for real. There's more to it at the end of the day, and that's where I get it from.
It's so great. I've heard you say that before, and you and Maddox both very positive people, and a unique friendship that just you can tell is a good friendship, a real friendship, and I appreciate you guys as friends as well. Let's get into the fun stuff here. We talk about the touchdown celly last week. Was that pre-planned or
It
kind of
was.
highlight that?
It was pre-planned. So I joined a frat in the spring, and I said my first celly was gonna be me doing a little something, little hop or something like that. And I had to do it. And the funny thing is, at that celly, Coweyes, nobody. I think it's kind of missed. Coweyes is right there behind me. He hops up with me, but Buddy lands on the ball. So like everybody's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, Coweyes lands on the ball and like literally almost like bros his ankle and stuff like that. So everybody's just hyping. Kawhi's just like limping off. I think that's really like the silliest thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
that throw was pre-planned, and it felt good to get in that end zone. Honestly, it was like it was long overdue, to be real with you. But let's just stack them up now.
When you see, I remember, I think it was Central Arc last year, you had a big breakaway run like that. When you see the hole open up like that, I mean, I will never relate to this. What you see a hole like that, what's the mindset as you're running through it? Is there anything going on in your brain? Is it just run as fast as you can? What happens there?
So like honestly, we've had a hiccup in the run game like these past couple of days. So you can see like I in the clip like I break through the hole, but I look left and right because I'm like kind of kind of a little in disbelief, and I'm like, oh like we gotta go. Like it's just me in the end zone now. So you're like, yeah, you're trying to run your fullest speed, but then you get a couple of flashbacks because once you get there, like it's just you in the end zone. You don't want to get hawked. Like you don't want to get hawked because then everybody's gonna call you slow, and then this, that, and the third. And you get back to that WKU game. That fat run I had, and then like that guy walked me down. I
I
gotta walk
forgot
me
about.
down. I gotta walk me down to the 1 yard line. Everybody's been calling me slow and this, that, and the third. But finally, I was running 21 miles per hour. God was just, I don't know, Usain Bolt. He just wanted to be Usain Bolt for one play, Just couldn't let me have six. Bro wanted to be Usain Bolt. He just wanted to be the savior. So yeah, you just run your fastest, to be real, and just hope like you get to that box before somebody get to you. So that's it.
That makes sense. I would get hawked pretty quick. I think I'm running about 15 miles an hour, so that wouldn't work. But um, I'll get to one more real question here, and then I got a fun one for you here at the end. But when you look at the multiple facets of the run game or just being a running back, you got to be a threat in the receiving game. You got to stand in block sometimes. And one of the big interesting things and topics, you want to keep Miles clean in general, the O-line. How does communication work with the O-line and stuff? How often are you staying in on pass protection, and what is that like?
So here, like, it really just genuinely depends. Here recently, I think I've been in more protection than I've really like wanted to recently. And I think this last game, that was my first reception. Those were my first receptions, like this season, really. And that just honestly felt good. And I think we're gonna get to see more of that Saturday. But usually, it really just generally depends. We just want to keep Miles healthy, like feet,
Mhm.
hands, like shoulder, and all that. And we trust those guys up front, and I trust them. And the communications have been clear. Like we meet before our actual meeting times, and just like try to hash stuff out together, and just like get clear communication, because like we move pieces around like so frequently, and just like tackle the guard or like center the guard and stuff like that. So we just try to have like the versatility of like hey, like when you move the guard, like this is this, and like this is that, like this changes that and stuff like that. So we just try to be like 100% like the same man. Like if he goes right, you're supposed to go left, or like if he goes left, you're supposed to go right and stuff like that. So it's a lot of communication.
Right, and I'm sure it's a lot of communication in game, when you see the different looks, and I think of Marshall who blitzed a lot. I think of a lot of
Yeah.
pressure last week, and, you guys did a good job picking it up last week. I'll get to the fun question. Do you ever watch the ESPN Plus broadcast back after the game?
I do. That's funny. I absolutely, absolutely.
So the announcers, I think, in almost every game have started calling you BB. Were you aware of this? And obviously, we know. Well, they like to tell the story of where it came from. You can highlight the story of your nickname and where it came from. But then, did you ever expect that even the announcers on TV would now be calling you BB?
Honestly, I did not. So, the nickname. So when I got here, well, actually, so I'll go all the way back. So when I was born, I'm a twin, and I have a twin brother named Caden. And when we came out, I was kind of the chunkier baby, and he was kind of the slimmer baby. So his name was Slim Slim, and my name was Butterball. And so throughout, like all the way growing up, elementary school, middle school, high school, like I was Butterball. Like I was Butterball, Brayden, this, that, and the third. And when I get here, I'm like, yo, guys, what's up? I'm Brayden, but hey, you can call me Butterball. And they're like, what? Like, we're not freaking calling you Butterball. This is college. Like, this is the collegiate level. Like, you want to be going by Butterball? And I was like, yeah, like I've been called Butterball my whole life. And then like, nah. So they kind of trashed that, right? And then so they came on with BB. And it's been cool. It's been cool. And then I think a little bit when I scored, you can hear he says Butterball rolls into the end zone or stuff like that. So I think that's all just amazing, like the backstory and stuff like that. And it's just true. It truly kind of makes me happy. Just like they know so much about me and stuff like that. So
It's great, the story has caught storm, and now everybody knows it, including opposing teams. So it was cool to give you the shout out. They kept shouting it out last week. They really did. But I won't keep you any longer. I really appreciate you coming on this show. It's always good to
appreciate you, bro.
just have a team captain, a good player like yourself, but also just a positive personality to have on this show. I really appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you.
Awesome. Good luck next week. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. See you, Duffington.
That was running back Brayden Latham. Always a good time. And now we get to have another positive attitude, bright, smiling face on the show. A guy who's come, kind of burst onto the scene this year. He played last year and played really well. And then all of a sudden, we got a key player, a franchise guy, as we like to call it, but a guy who's, been causing quarterbacks a lot of problems there in the offensive backfield. So without further ado, I'll bring on D lineman Bradley Gurley.
My boy Duff, what's good, man?
What's going on, Brad? How are you?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I am doing well, man. It's what is it? It's week 5, correct?
Yeah, week 5.
So week 5. It seems crazy. It snuck up on us. How's the body, and what's the life of a D lineman getting hit every play? What's the upkeep look like of the body during the week?
I gotta take care of my body every day. Ice bath every day. Just so I can get ready to go back on this. Go back on Saturday, do what I'm supposed to do. But I really can't think about it because Coach Wells ain't going for that. So.
Absolutely. We talked about it a little bit earlier, me and D Bake, and he highlighted, you have just an incredible story that actually took the country by storm. Your video of earning a scholarship went viral, which I do want to talk about that because it's just a great story, a feel-good story. But you have an incredible journey here at EKU. Talk about, just the evolution of yourself as a player. Just being a walk-on, because I definitely understand what it's like to be a walk-on, as I was at one point too. And you have to do the above and beyond as a walk-on when you come in the door to make sure that you earn the role that you're in now. And so just kind of give me an overview about like the day-to-day as you were going on, and just what kept you pushing, and how you got to where you are now.
Just coming in as a freshman, I was lost. I'm nervous. I ain't know like who to talk to, anything like that. And then, I got close in the D-line room. Ryan, D-Bake, Jeremiah, Gabe just got close to him. And then, just having somebody in your ear saying, like, we care about you. We see you. Your work don't go unnoticed, Big shout out to Coach Hawk, Coach Mathis, and currently Coach LeBlanc. They see potential in me. and they invest their time into me, but like kind of just seize my opportunity in the spring and just like just evolving, just getting better, having guys caring about you, and that's where I just kept working hard, and then my work got noticed, and that's where I got to where I am today, just working hard, keeping my head down, staying focused.
It's incredible. Talk about that moment, your mom comes in and gets to share the news to the entire team that you're going to be on scholarship. Did you see that coming when she walked in the room? Did you know what was going on? What were the emotions like? Just walk me through that.
Because it's like the funny thing is like, during fall camp, I always FaceTime my mom and grandmother before we go into dinner. And it's like, they didn't answer. And they just called me regular. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I know y'all not doing nothing. And they was like, no, we're not doing anything. And my grandmother, she was just acting weird. And I just sat there and looked. I'm like, whatever, cool, whatever. And then I called my mom and she did the same thing. They were just being weird. And then I'm like, all right, cool, I'll call y'all later. So it was just like, they snuck her in through the back door. I was like, why y'all acting weird? And Coach Mathis just came in just messing with me. I'm like, you don't never mess with me during treatment. And then it's just like, I actually like Coach Rose was like, yeah, get your notebooks out, get ready to take some notes. And I actually started writing my mom's name. I'm like, hold on, that's my mom's name. And then I just looked up and there she'll just walk in. And then like, I actually thought she was there to like tell on me. I ain't even gonna lie. It was like, I was just sitting there. I was like, dang, all right, childhood moments finna go out the door. And then that's when she told me. And then she told me I got a scholarship. And then I was just in shock the whole time. I was in shock for probably like 2 days.
That's incredible. It's a cool video. If those viewing have not seen it, I encourage you to go back and look. I'll try to find a video. I'm sure there's YouTube videos that I've watched before. I'll see if I can link it on the Fourth Down Media Co. Facebook page. It's a really cool, really cool video. You get that scholarship, and is there a shift in mentality? Is it still just the go to work every day, or is there like a new motivation there where it's like, all right, now I'm going to show that I earn it?
It's like, yeah, yes, it's new motivation, but like, like Coach Wells say, nothing really has changed. Yes, my school is paid for, but it's like that mentality. Yeah, it gives me an extra boost. Yeah, let me show everybody in the world that I've earned my scholarship. But it's just, the mentality don't change. Just keep my head down and keep working, and just keep, just keep working hard, because hard work don't go unnoticed with everything. And it just motivated me to take it to a whole nother level to where I'm at now, being a leader, and then looking at some of the walk-ons as they're now. I'm telling them, I've been in your shoes literally not too long ago, and I know how it feels. Your work is not going unnoticed, and it's just being that leader now and that voice. It's just it means a lot, and it's just a different type of motivation.
That's so cool. It's a you being in those shoes, anyone's in those shoes as a freshman, but truly, as a walk-on, to have those days where you need that person to come up to you and be like, hey man, my name is, and push you along. So to be the guy who received that, earned it to where you are, being a starter, being a force on the defense, and now being able to do that to others, that's a really cool thing. And that's why I'm glad you're on this show. I told same with Latham, just to have guys who are positive and guys who are great people out in the real world as well is really cool to get to talk to you guys. When you look at, we talk about the work. When you look at the work going into this offseason, knowing that you're graduating D-Bake and Ryan Jackson and knowing the opportunity ahead of you, what did you focus on in terms of your play to fill the role that you were going to have to fill?
I knew there was going to be big shoes to fill. Ryan, great player. D-Bake, great player. Even going back to TK and KD, great player. Shane, great guy, great player, everything. And I knew that, what they all had in common is that Maroon doing defense. We don't give up an inch, terrorize the quarterback A to B violently. It's just we have to uphold that standard, because they, we've been around and we know what to do and we know how to uphold that standard. Now we're the older guys, and we have to instill that, because just going back to last year's squad, we started, to actually go into Maroon Doom defense, and that's the closest that we have ever been as a team in the defense. And then our success on and off the field, and it's just, now I'm being an older guy, I have to pay the way for the younger guys that's in the room now. That was just in my shoes not too long ago, So it's just big shoes that we all have to fill. And it, like off season, we got to attack the workout, attack the lift, attack practice, OTAs, everything. Nothing changes. We just uphold that standard that they have had for us.
Me and D-Bake also talked about the culture and the standard earlier too. So it's great that you say that because it kind of segues into this. You look at the defense in the past 2 years, there's been just a change in mentality. Um, you guys are producing at a clip that is incredibly important for the offense when they find themselves in a rut or different situations that they have been in lately. I've asked a few of the defensive players this, and I'd like to hear your opinion. There's also a different level of chippiness that comes with last year and this year from this defense in terms of talking and attitude, and I love it. I think it's a good thing. I think there's a fine line there. Where does that come from? Do you have a few level-headed guys on the defense that have to reel people in, and keep you guys from going that line, or what's it like?
It's just, don't get me wrong. I love when we play, Maroon doing defense and play emotional about the game, but we can't get too emotional. We got to reel back. Like him, great leader, great guy, but, we play the game emotional. We love the game. We just got to reel him back in and make sure we see, the end goal. Let's try to go 1-0 on the week, try to get this dub, and the same thing for Vito. We got to reel him in a little bit. I love when we play this game emotional, but just not too emotional.
Absolutely. And I think that's that fine line. I know Coach Wells always talks about it. When you look at last week's defensive performance, obviously, the past couple of weeks, you guys have been in tough positions, short fields a few times, and just different things you have to respond to. But really just looking at the defensive performance as a whole last week, what are the good takeaways and what are things that, that you guys want to see improvement on?
We did a lot of good things like communicating is a big thing. We've been doing a great job of communicating for the past couple of weeks, us knowing what our jobs and what we need to do and all that good stuff, trusting the guy beside us, behind us to know what we need to do and be in our gaps, but my big thing for us lately is just communicating. Like our defense has taken a big major step from communicating from week 1 to now. And, it's just, we just got to take another step and keep leveling up because yes, we're 1-3, but that don't define our season. We were just in the same spot last year. So, just communicate and keep getting better as a defense.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you specifically, I think you've been easily noticeable, D lineman, your job isn't noticeable in the sense of your job in the run game at times, you just got to take up blockers and let those linebackers come free. And it's very much like the offensive line on the offense where you're not going to get all the glamour and the glory, but where you do get it is when you're going and making plays in the backfield with the quarterback getting sacks. And your name is one that's come up a lot on all the broadcasts. Your name is one that's come up a lot over the PA announcer. You've been in the backfield a lot. Is there anything specific that you attribute to your success in the pass rush game? Is there anything extra you've been emphasizing to get to where you are now, or is it just gradual work?
It's gradual work, but it's just we have to win first and second down for me to go do what I need to do on third down. We have to earn the right to rush, but we got to win first and second down. But I don't worry about third down when third down comes. Yes, I worry about it, but I worry about stopping the run and winning first and second down to get to that point so we can all have fun and the linebackers have fun, DBs have fun. The quarterback, a lot of quarterbacks will feel our pressures, and the, overthrows and tips. And that's where our DBs be able to have fun as well and have a good time in the game too.
Walk me through a week of prep when you're watching the offensive line. Obviously, you have to watch everything. Is there anything specifically that you look for when it comes to those third down situations and different tendencies out of O-linemen? What's your film watching habits? What are you looking for?
I kind of, imagine myself in that, in that moment, kind of just go over all the calls for the week and kind of see their weakness on how, they kick set or how they pass set and all that other stuff, where there's their weak tendencies that I can explore on third down, maybe even second down, just to help myself get a better edge to help our defense be successful at the end.
No doubt. When you look at this week ahead, Nichols, they've had some they're coming in 1-3 as well, I believe, correct? Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
1-3 as well. They've played some tough opponents, though. They played West Georgia to a very similar score. Troy, they played in a decently close game against Troy, who's FBS. That first week, they dropped one to Incarnate, or did they drop one to Incarnate?
They won the one against Incarnate Word.
They won against Incarnate Word 20-6. That was actually their best rush defense, but I'll get to that later. But you see they're on a 3-game skid. But when you look at just the film right now, what do you expect out of their offense, and what are kind of the, what's the emphasis going into this week?
You just can't let them get momentum, because they're trying to find their identity. It's just they have really good running backs. We can't let the O-lines hold on to us and lean on us. We have to play sound defense, make sure we're all in our gaps, and make sure we play Maroon doing defense, like I said before, terrorize the quarterback, just keep hitting to force them not to be out there anymore. It's just keep playing Maroon doing defense.
Absolutely. When you go out on the field and you get to play next to some, your best friends, you got some talented guys on that defense, really just, is there anything you'd rather be doing on a Saturday?
No, not at all. Playing at Roy Kidd is just, I feel like it's a blessing, the history that goes into it, and, all the alumni get to come and watch us play, like yourself, D-Bake, Ryan's a coach there, just, that legacy that just holds on to Roy Kidd. I love being a part of that.
All right, you know what? That was my kind of segue to just, have a little fun and then end. But you bring up two other great points. One, talk to me about how weird, interesting, crazy, cool it is to have a former teammate, to officially be the old guy that has your former teammate and good friend as a coach on that defensive side, and Ryan Jackson.
Ryan is not a defensive coach anymore. He's an offensive coach, so he switched
That's
sides.
right.
He's on the other side. He's on the enemy side. He went from the dark side to the soft side, but we're not gonna say nothing about it. But I love Ryan to death. Just one of my best friends. It's just just having Ryan there. It's just Ryan still gives me pointers here and there. Man, I love that guy to death. He's a great guy.
He's the best. He's the one that got me helped me to commit to EKU. He is awesome. And then when you look at, my last question for you, and you highlighted it, playing at home, how much is that? Talk about your team goals, how much that's preached to the team, and how important getting 1-0 and the kid is.
It means a lot, just because you don't want to lose at home. You protect our house, you protect the kid, because it means something to play on the kid. We're 8-0 at the kid. Trying to go 9-0, because I don't like losing. I don't like losing in general, but losing at home hurts and it stings differently, because it's just, we preach, our goal is undefeated at Ward Kid. That's still on the table. Win the conference. That's still on the table. There's just different standards that we hold ourselves at. Playing at home and winning at home is just different standards that Coach Wells and us all talk about day to day, week to week.
Absolutely. You're a veteran leader on this team. You're having an incredible year so far. I have no doubt that you'll continue it. And when you look at, just being a veteran, what the goals are, what's in front of you. And I'm sure that you guys are going to steer the ship right as you're preaching these to the team. So with that said, I just really appreciate you coming on the show tonight and getting to talk football with you. I hope you have a great weekend. I'm excited to see you get a Colonel W on the field this weekend.
Yes, sir. I got you, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
I accidentally lost him. My bad. That was defensive lineman Brad Gurley. Super grateful for him to come on the show. Awesome guy. Just like I said, 3 great guests this week. Wouldn't want it any other way. It's hard coming off a loss. It's hard to turn it around, mentally, emotionally. But that's why I like to catch guys on a Thursday, because you got the 24-hour rule, and then you flush it, and they're all focused towards this week ahead, which is family weekend. Nichols State at Roy Kidd Stadium. I'm so excited to see what the Colonels have to show. I think there's been a lot of improvements on the offense last week. You can always bring away the negatives, but there were improvements when you look at the tape last week. We did win the total yard battle. You saw Latham get going, which, as I was sitting here as my wrap up last week, I was saying, we need to get Latham going, and we need to get Cowwise the ball. And those are 2 things that really happened this week. The guys were phenomenal on Saturday, and you can tell everyone's taking a step in the right direction. Also, I got to shout out the special teams, the field goal unit. Buzz is 5 for 7 now, I believe. He knocked 2 through on Saturday. So another good game out of him. Quaid Luganbill, the field goal snapper, Baker, the punter. Shout out to those guys. They did a great job. When you look at the game last week, obviously you think about the score being 34-12 or whatever it was. I can't believe I keep forgetting it. 33-10, something like that. when you look at that score, it can be daunting. You could think that they got whooped, but really you turn around and you look at the snap, the fumbled snap that got returned for a touchdown. You look at the pass interference call and the touchdown pass to Cal Wise that got called back, and then the following play taking a sack and getting out of field goal range, which really hurt. It's a play that you learn from. And then on top of that, you look at the safety at the end of the game that really just put the nail in the coffin. All three of those are really big errors, made by the team, but they're things that you can learn from and grow from and move on from that obviously cannot be repeated. You take those 3 plays away from the game, I think it's a lot different ball game. And it really is. It's a great game that we like to play and talk about, as I do now, where it really can come down to 3 plays. It can come down to 1 play, and that's why, every play is important. But looking ahead, also, I do want to say, TJ Lester, I'd mentioned him, son of the great Tim Lester. He did have an incredible game for West Georgia. It really hurts to watch him in another uniform, but he did have a great game with 108 yards and a touchdown in the run game for West Georgia last week. But like I said, we had 115 more yards, but we had 2 more turnovers, 2 more penalties, and 30 more penalty yards. And so, you got to limit the mental mistakes to win this game, and I believe that they will right that ship. Looking ahead, Nicholls State, they beat Incarnate Word, which was a highly ranked team coming into the year. They beat them 20-6 in the first game, and then turned around. They played 2 FBS opponents, and they lost to a very similar score against West Georgia. So, coming in 1-3, I don't think they're anyone you can take lightly. Deuce Hogan is their quarterback. Pretty talented quarterback from he was at Kentucky actually not too long ago in 2022. He was at New Mexico State after that, and then now he's at Nicholls State. So it'll be fun to watch him. He's a big athletic quarterback that you definitely have to watch for. And, I think a theme in the past 3 losses have been their run defense. They're giving up 4 and 5 and 6, 7 yards a carry in those 3 games. So really important to get Latham, Butterball involved this week. So I'm excited. I hope to see everybody to show out. I would love to see, Latham get going, Cal Wise get going, and see the offensive firepower that we have in some of those guys. I'd love to see some end-around sweeps to TJ Mitchell, who's really athletic and hard to bring down. So, let's, like we say always, 24-hour rule. We flushed last week. Everything's in front of the EKU Colonels this year. And so everyone show out, support at home at Roy Kidd Stadium. Let's see the Colonels get a win. And with that said, I just appreciate you all tuning in. Shout out to John Clark State Farm, my sponsor. Like I say always, you can always count on Clark. And with that said, just once again, thanks for joining us, and see you guys at the Colonels game this weekend. Go Colonels.